All right, today we're going to set our paint tray up and get all of our secondary and tertiary colors mixed and in our paint tray so that we're ready to go for painting. We set our paint tray up with some yellow and some red and some blue and some black and some white so that we can have everything we need to mix all these colors. So we're going to keep this yellow, pure yellow. We're not going to touch it today. This red at the top, we're going to keep it pure red. We're not going to touch it. This blue, we're going to keep it pure blue, and we're not going to touch it. Underneath the yellow in these three, we're going to turn these into yellow orange, orange, and red orange. And we're going to use this red to pull from. And then here we're going to mix our violets, and we're going to pull from this red every time. And then on the bottom of the blues, we're going to turn those into our greens. So if you always have a primary that you can pull from for a secondary color, then you don't mess up your primary color as much and you have a little bit more to work with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this yellow and we're going to put some of it in the third little egg compartment. And then we're going to put a small amount of it in the bottom one. So we kind of want a small amount, a medium amount, and then a lot in this one. We know when we're mixing colors, we want to start with the lightest color first. So we're starting with our yellow, and we're going to add in the darker color, which is our red. So the first one is going to be yellow orange. So we're going to take a little bit of red, not a lot, just a little bit, and we're going to mix it with all this yellow. Remember, with yellow orange, you want it to look mostly yellow, but have a little orange tint to it, a little bit of that red showing up. Now, since I am doing all my oranges at once and I have a red that I'm pulling from just for orange, I don't have to wash this paintbrush, and that saves time and water and all kind of stuff. So I can go back to my red and I can pull a little bit more red. Remember, it's better to add it slowly than to add it quickly, because I can always go back and pull some more, but it's very hard to go back. That yellow, it takes a whole lot of it to change it. So we want to add this red slowly. If we didn't get enough, we can go back and pull a little more, add a little more until it's the color we want. Remember, orange looks orange. It doesn't look like it has a lot of yellow in it or a lot of red in it. Now, the last one has a little bit of yellow already, so we're going to pull some red over in that section. And our red orange should look mostly red, right? It shouldn't look orange, and it shouldn't look like it's got a lot of yellow in it. It should have a red tint to it. If you'll take your paintbrush and kind of put it up against the edge and kind of swirl it, it'll kind of get off that excess paint so you don't waste it. Once you have your three oranges the way you want them and you feel like they're good, then we want to wash that paintbrush so that we can get all that orange out of there before we move on to our violets. When you're washing your paintbrush off, see how there's all that paint on the metal part? You want to make sure you pull it through the paper towel so that we get all of that paint off of our paintbrush, and we clean it every single time we wash it. You don't ever want to let the paint build up on the metal part. All right, for our center, we're going to do our violets here. So I'm not going to use this red because we pulled it for orange, and it's got little pieces of yellow and orange all in it. So I'm going to go down to this other red, and this is going to be my red designated for my violet. So I'm going to take a little bit and put it at the top. I'm going to put a medium amount in the middle. And then I'm going to put a whole lot of it down here in this bottom. A whole lot of red, almost where I'm using most of it, right? Then I'm going to go to this blue way over here in the corner, and I'm going to pull a little bit of blue, not a lot, just a little bit, and I'm going to mix it with all this red down here at the bottom. This is going to make a red violet, so we want it to look mostly red, with just a little hint of violet, a little hint of blue mixed in there with it. Again, I'm going to swirl that brush on the edge to get off all that excess paint. I don't have to wash because I'm still doing violet, so I'm going to go back to my blue, and I'm going to start adding to this medium amount. This one is going to be our regular violet, so it's going to look just pure violet. It's not going to look like it has a lot of red. It's not going to look like it has a lot of blue. It's just a regular old violet. Violets are kind of hard to tell because they're so dark. And so sometimes it helps if you wipe a little bit of it on a paper towel so you can see the true color. When it's all piled up like this, it's kind of hard to tell what the color is. Sometimes you can't tell if it's got enough blue or if it needs more. Then our last one, we have a little bit of red in it, so we're going to add a lot of blue to it. So I'm going to start with just a little bit, and I'm going to slowly add it because it's better to add it slowly always, even when you know you're going to need a lot of it, because it's a whole lot easier to add more than to go back and try to add that lighter color. All right, once we're happy with our violets, then we want to rake off any of that paint by swirling it on the edge. And then since we've done all 3 violets, then we can wash out our paintbrush. Now, the last thing we have to do are our greens. And we're going to do that underneath our blue right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a little bit of this blue over into this circle just so that I have a little bit of extra in case I need it, because that top one's going to become our blue violet. Then I'm going to wash my paintbrush out because I got to start with my yellow. You don't want to start with your blue because that's your darkest color. We always start with our lightest color. So I'm going to go over here to this yellow that's at the bottom that's just been hanging out, and that's going to be designated for our green mixture. We're going to take a good bit of this yellow and put it in the bottom little circle right here. And that's going to be our yellow green. Then we're going to take a little bit of yellow, kind of a medium amount, and add it to the center. And that's going to be our regular green. And then we're going to add some yellow to this blue that we have left here. And that's going to be our blue violet. Our blue green, sorry. So that one's going to look mostly blue, right? Whoops. Mostly blue. And if we need a little bit more blue, we can come over here and pull from that little bit that we pulled over. All right, once we have our blue-green, then we can add a little bit of blue to our mixture in the center, to our yellow that's in the center. That's going to be our regular green. If we need to add some more, we can. Remember, it's always better to add it slowly than to add it quickly. Even if you know you need a lot, add it slowly because you can't go backwards as easily as it is to go forward. Especially with yellow. Yellow is super hard to go backwards with. It takes so much to change it back. All right, once we have our green, then we're going to take a little bit and add it to a lot of yellow down here. And that's going to make our yellow green. So this is called organizing your paint tray, guys. When you're just doing things all over your paint tray and there's no rhyme or reason to it, sometimes things can get a little chaotic. This helps us kind of organize everything and make sure we have a place for all of our primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. It also gives you these extra primaries that you can pull from so that they don't matter if they get messed up. And then if you need just a regular red, you have it. So when we mix colors, we don't have a whole lot of egg spaces left, right? So we don't want to use our egg spaces. Instead, we're going to use the top of our paint tray. So like if I wanted to make a pink, I could take some white and put it on the top of my paint tray. I could also take a little red, and I would pull from my pure red, not the ones I've been mixing with, and put it on the top of my paint tray. And then I could mix those two together to make my pink, to make my tint of my red. So we want to mix colors on our paint tray. We want to keep this nice and clean and neat. If you run out of a color, you can remix it. If you run out of pure color where you're pulling from the orange, you can get some more of that. But we only want to fill up our little circles halfway. You don't want to overfill them because then you've got a hot mess when you go to put them up and it leans a little bit. It's going to run all into your other colors. When you get done with your lid, you do not wash it in the sink. You take your dirty paper towel that you've been using the whole class and you wipe it out using pressure. Then if it needs cleaning, like it's just a hot mess, then you can go wash it at the beginning of the next class. But we don't ever wash paint trays at the end of class. Okay. All right. And that's it, guys.